Yesterday, Sunday, the president held an urgent security meeting. Now we've got the prime minister meeting political leaders. Tell us more about how the government's been responding.
Well, it wants to show that it's responding. So we had that emergency meeting yesterday. Today, meeting with political leaders, except the far left, which refused to meet with the prime minister. Tomorrow, there was supposed to be a meeting between the prime minister and some representatives of the Yellow Vest movement. However, there's big uncertainty as to whether that will happen because the Yellow Vests are not sure they want to go, who will go, under what conditions, and so on. Then there'll be a debate midweek, both at the National Assembly and the Senate, to discuss this crisis, but there might be more afoot. The president has changed his schedule. He was supposed to have a luncheon with artists today. He had it with firefighters who were involved in Saturday's dramatic clashes in central Paris, and we're told by the Élysée Palace, the presidential palace, that he's considering postponing a visit to Serbia later this week. So obviously there was a willingness by the executive branch to show that it's listening, that it might change a few things. Now the big question is, okay, meetings is fine, debates at the National Assembly is fine, changing your travel plans is fine, but what will the government do? What will Emmanuel Macron do? That's the big question mark today.
What are his options in terms of appeasing tensions?
Well, first of all, he could, as he's repeatedly vowed to do, he could stay the course. He says, okay, this is needed. We need a greener economy. So we need really to have higher prices for fuel. And this will happen, as I said, on January 1st. Obviously, this strategy would be a strategy to try to divide the Yellow Vests. Some might be put off by the violence that took place on Saturday, and that could take place if there's a new protest movement next weekend in Paris. But that's a very risky gamble because according to the polls, we haven't had polls since the events of last weekend, but the previous polls show that 3/4 of the French, at least, support the Yellow Vest movement. So what he could do is maybe take a few measures, postpone the fuel hike that's supposed to happen on January 1st. He could say it could happen on March 31st or so on, and try to really see if that changes the equation. Because right now we have people calling for a referendum. We heard the leader of the Conservative Party. He doesn't want to hold a referendum on the taxes. He wants to hold a referendum on Emmanuel Macron. Others are calling for his resignation. We had an MP from the far left go in front of the Élysée Palace yesterday, François Ruffin, and said, you know, you have to resign because if not, it's going to be chaos. We have so you know there's a lot of demands, but the government needs to find a few bread and butter issues that will try to really take the tension off the streets. Maybe promised lower taxes. The problem is that it needs the money. It needs the money to keep the balance of the budget, to avoid the debt from ballooning, and so that's a very difficult equation. But Emmanuel Macron will probably need to make a decision because if not, there's a security risk and there's a huge political risk for him.
All right, thank you very much for your